Good morning, Miss Neville Science students. Here is your recorded lesson that I will be teaching live today, Thursday, February 4th, 2021. So I wanted to talk to you about weather conditions. It's really important that we start to put all of the information we've been learning about frontal boundaries, high and low pressure systems, maritime and continental air masses, all together as we start to describe current weather conditions and predict future weather conditions. Your learning objective today is an I can statement. By the end of this lesson, Ms. Neville hopes that you are able to use a weather map to describe current weather conditions and predict future weather conditions. Whatever you see in this slideshow today, you need to have written down in your notebook. Because this lesson is recorded, feel free to pause it as you need to, rewind it as you need to, and go back and watch it as a refresher if you need to as well. Please write in your notes weather conditions describing current conditions and predicting future conditions. You do not need to write the learning objective. So when we're using a weather map, there are some things we want to remember. We're going to look at a weather map today, and I wanted to make sure that we understood, once again, we're writing everything down we see here, that when we're using a weather map, we need to know that there are many factors. There are many things going on our Earth, different types of winds, different temperature and pressure systems that are going to create our weather conditions. Here are a few that you need to remember. The location of the land. Where are you in the United States or in the world? That's going to the most directly affect the weather that you experience. The elevation of the land you live on. Yes, it's important for us to know there are different weather conditions in a mountain than there are in a valley. They're going to be very different because of the height of our land. The distance from water that your land is. Do you live on a beach, near a large lake? Or are you completely landlocked? That means you live nowhere near a large body of water. That's going to change your weather too, because we need to make sure we understand here, and we're writing this down. Oops. We want to make sure we understand here that water regulates or controls temperature. So the temperature of water, as we learned with land breeze and sea breeze, the temperature of water changes very slowly. It increases very slowly and it decreases very slowly. Because of this, water is able to regulate or control the temperature of the land that is around it. It regulates land's temperature. Global winds. Remember, we learned some about those global winds. The wind, it's important for us to understand that wind is important because wind moves weather. Yes, wind moves weather. So, if I'm in the tropical region where trade winds are, the wind is blowing constantly from east to west. So whatever weather, like rain, I have over here in the east, that trade wind will blow that rain over into the west. Wind moves weather. We also need to understand the location of high and low pressure systems. If we remember, a high pressure system means air is being pushed down onto our earth and it's spreading out. It's heavy cold air falling down and spreading out. So a high pressure system brings fair weather. A low pressure system is taking hot air and making it rise. It's creating a vacuum, sucking hot air from the ground and making it rise. So a low pressure system brings poor weather, severe weather, like thunderstorms, hurricanes, or tornadoes. And so it's important for us to remember that these things, these factors, all go into helping a scientist, a meteorologist, predict the weather. Example 1. We see here a weather map, and there's a lot going on this weather map. We're going to look at 3 specific cities first. Let's look first at Atlanta. You do not need to draw this weather map. You're listening to Miss Neville. If you'll notice, Atlanta is in the southeast, okay? Atlanta is going to be in the southeastern part of the United States. So Atlanta is going to be influenced by this air mass here. Notice the color of this air mass. Yes, it's going to be influenced by that maritime tropical air mass. So that means warm, humid, or moist air is going to be over Atlanta. Always, all the time. That means that Atlanta is usually going to be very humid. That means there's lots of water in the air, okay? Girls, we know it's humid when our hair gets real frizzy, okay? That's that humidity. So when we're talking about Atlanta, we see here, if you look closely, Atlanta has a 78 degrees. It's 78 degrees as a high and a 52 as a low. We'll see that right below Atlanta, we have some rain or scattered showers. That was here. A little bit of rain here. And there's no fronts or anything near Atlanta. There's no pressure systems near Atlanta. So there's a very small chance of rain happening. Did you see how Miss Neville explained to you why Atlanta's weather was what it was? I was able to even predict to you what kind of weather could be happening in Atlanta based on its location, its distance from water, and the presence of high and low pressure systems. Let's look at another one, and I want you to think out loud at your computer with me. Let's look at Fargo. Fargo is very far from Atlanta. In fact, we'll see that Fargo is in the northwest kind of, but it's basically in the northern part of the United States, okay? And we would say Fargo is in the northwest because it's here, it's going out west, and it's much more western than Atlanta. So when we're looking here at Fargo, this is land above us. This is Canada, okay? So Fargo is going to have an air mass that's coming down from the polar region. And this is not going to be air that's coming from water. It's going to be a very dry place coming from land. So this is going to be a continental polar air mass. So as that air mass moves down, we know that Fargo will usually get some lower temperatures and dry air. Let me tell you how else I know that. If we look here, Fargo's temperature, this must be the summertime. Fargo's temperature is 72 degrees, cooler than Atlanta. Okay, and it has, the low could be 31 degrees. So anywhere between that. That's because most of the weather that's going to be coming into Fargo is going to come from cold, dry, continental polar air masses. They're going to come down. It's also important for us to be able to look at Seattle. As we look at Seattle, Seattle is in the northwest here. I'll circle it for you. We see a high pressure system that's close to Seattle. Seattle's temperatures are lower than Fargo and Atlanta's. It's 69 degrees here. But we see that Seattle is going to get influenced by an air mass as well. A maritime coming from the ocean, the Pacific Ocean, a maritime polar air mass. So not only will Seattle have humid air, it's also going to have a lot of rain. I've heard, and I want you to Google it and fact check me. I've heard that Washington State, where Seattle is, it rains 9 months out of the year. There are only 12 months in the year. And so 2/3 of that time, it's raining there. Why do you think that is? Because of that maritime polar air mass. It brings a lot of precipitation, a lot of moisture into that area.